Hello everyone and welcome. So in today's video, I'm going to attempt to bring together everything I've been working on. So in my past videos, we've created heroes, villains, traps, and dungeons. But today, I'm going to focus on building my dungeon out some more by developing a narrative. I might even work on a certain NPC you may have already seen. Before that though, I'm going to work on the synopsis of my game as it will help set the tone. As I always say, this synopsis could change as time goes on, but for now, I think it will help me design my dungeon and give my game a bit of structure. My synopsis will be a small paragraph or a few bullet points that will summarise the PC's goals. So, if we think about the purpose of the game, Anne Boleyn has been sent to the Tower. She faces execution in a few days. Her allies have petitioned a bawdy rescue attempt and have recruited NPCs to save her from the Tower and maybe pick up some interesting treasures along the way. So if you think of a synopsis being like a blurb on the back of a book, you want to make it as interesting as possible. My example reads, on a cold winter's night, Anne Boleyn is pacing in her small but grand cell. She knows her execution is imminent and is trying one last time to petition the king for mercy. Little does she know, her allies have been working on an elaborate and dangerous rescue attempt. Rumour has it, a yeoman warder has received a handsomely sum to leave the east of the Tower unpatrolled, giving enough time for anyone with a death wish to breach the walls and enter the courtyard undetected. From there, they can enter the White Tower, should they not draw too much attention to themselves. If the PCs choose to accept this mission, they will be generously awarded. Any treasures they find in the tower are theirs to keep. When the PCs enter the tower, they will realise there are even more powerful forces at play, and breaking into it to save Anne Boleyn is just one part of their mission. As they spend more time there, they uncover a sinister conspiracy and come head to head with the master orchestrator of Anne Boleyn's demise, Thomas Cromwell. If the PCs are able to defeat Cromwell and save Anne Boleyn, they must escape the king's wrath, which shouldn't be too difficult if they find some priceless jewels along the way. Now, I'm all for games that a GM can easily scan and put into practice right away. So as I'm setting each scene, I will give pointers that the GM can use to pace the game. I also want the GM to embellish how they want the tower to look, so I'm not going to include reams of overly descriptive copy or text. I want my game to be picked up and played with minimal effort. As my zine has 6 pages, plus a front and back cover, I want to include 6 game chapters or scenes. Luckily, if I need extra room, I could use a back cover as an additional scene if I need it, which takes me to a maximum of 7. Within each scene, there will be helpful headings or pointers to guide the game. I'm thinking of calling one heading Progress, which will include information on the scene. For example, any NPC motivations, what to do if any traps are triggered, and anything the PCs need to achieve to move on to the next scene. That being said, I don't think this is quite the right name for this heading, but it's a start. Currently, my map begins with an entrance room, just off the courtyard. From that room are some stairs that go down to the cellar. I may tweak this later and break this room into 2, as I don't want to overwhelm my PCs too early by bombarding them with traps and hellhounds. If they're in the courtyard though, I could introduce my ravens as a first potential encounter. Maybe the PCs need to move stealthily to prevent the ravens from stirring. Upon reflection though, this could cause quite a commotion, and I'd rather start the game with a bit of role-playing to warm everyone up. Okay, so we're parking the ravens for now, and starting this scene from the courtyard, where the PCs can enter the White Tower right away. Now, what shall I call this scene? Actually, let's just keep things simple for now, and call it the White Tower. It has a bit of an ominous ring. Another good title could be Beyond Traitor's Gate. Maybe we could have a vote. Leave in the comments which one you'd prefer. Right, so we have a working title. Now let's write the first intro. First of all, I want to get across the bitter conditions of the tower and the bleakness of it all. So I want to first describe the environmental conditions the PCs are in. We could open with, the icy winds howl as our heroes clamber down the east wall. From the courtyard, rain pelts against the White Tower and the booming curses of the yeoman guard carry over the gales. There isn't much time left to enter the tower. Gold only buys a few minutes. Next, I want the PCs to think about why they've chosen the monumental task of saving Anne Boleyn. I'm going to do this by prompting the GM to ask several questions. These questions are a scaffold to develop character hooks. Character hooks are a motivating force that's driving the PCs forward to achieve a personal goal. From other games I've played, there tend to be three major types of hooks. Either PCs want some form of reward, to seek justice, or to discover something new. In other words, experience some form of internal growth. Usually in games, players accept adventures for either reward or to right a wrong. Personal growth is more common in games or campaigns that have been going on for a while. This is because players have a rich story that they can draw upon from inspiration. Right, so back to the hooks. Let's have a go at naming them. Bounty and boon. This sounds quite nice and can represent reward. Right and a wrong. This represents our heroes who answer the call for help. Grow and learn. This one is a bit more ambiguous and represents our internal growth hook. Okay, so now I'm going to flesh out these character hooks so they actually provide some meaningful prompts for my game. Let's begin with bounty and boon. Rumour has it the lost Boleyn falcon is among the hidden treasure interred at the tower for safekeeping. The Boleyns would pay a hefty sum for its return to the family. To the untrained eye, this small wooden token would not seem to be worth a lot of gold at all, but a closer inspection reveals the rubies encrusted on the falcon's throat. Next, we have right and a wrong. In this game, this is the most obvious hook. Not that that's a bad thing at all. Some games lend themselves to particular hooks over others. So, let's begin. The conspiracy against Anne Boleyn was invented by Cromwell to keep favour with Henry VIII, who wanted to pursue a new marriage with Jane Seymour. Anne Boleyn is innocent of all charges, yet is facing execution. Allies in France are helping the Boleyns with a plot to rescue her, but they are in need of help. So this leaves us with Grow and Learn. Now this can be a bit trickier, given this game is designed as a one-shot, though I'm now thinking it may take a few more games than that to finish what I have in store. But we shall see. So, with Grow and Learn I have written, the tower is full of tortured souls with unfinished business. Perhaps some of the party have lost family members there. Going into the town may give them one last chance to talk to their long-lost relatives and seek the closure they deserve. Maybe then can the souls of the departed peacefully cross over into the afterlife. Now we have our hooks, we can get back to what happens when our players enter the first room of the White Tower. Of course, they won't just be able to walk in. I'll work on that later. Entering the White Tower is our first scene, or Scene 1. Scene 0 is where I'll flesh out the backstory of the game and develop the PC's history. This is where the synopsis may live too. The first scene, though, sets the tone for the game and kicks everything off. So to recap, Scene 1 has an intro and character hooks. Here, I'm also thinking about introducing our first NPC, the ghost of Anne Boleyn's brother, Thomas Boleyn. If you've seen last week's video, you would have seen my process of generating NPCs and how I arrived at the idea of using the ghost of Thomas Boleyn. Since last week, I've been thinking more about this character and the role he'll take on in my game. Now, I don't want him to retaliate if the players attack him. However, his role is supposed to be a helpful one. I'm still undecided on how he'll help the PCs. Perhaps if they roll well, he gives them a clue about the Falcon's hiding place in the tower. Or perhaps he forewarns them about the powerful wizard Cromwell and reveals any weaknesses he may have. At the end of this encounter, be it combat or role-playing, the PCs move into the next room, if I am to split it in half, or they make their way down the stairs into the cellar. To make this transition really clear, I'll write in another small section advising the GM or when the PCs are ready to progress deeper into the dungeon. That's all for this week's video, and I'll see you in the next one.